morning, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. We are at Larz in Brookline, Massachusetts. You may know the building. We were just here a couple of weeks ago to go to the world's, at least the United States' oldest auto museum, maybe one of the world's oldest, because they have cars from the 1890s here. They are doing their American Car Day lawn event today. So it's American cars on the lawn. You can see cars coming around. We got a Camaro behind us. We've got a Hellcat Challenger, some gorgeous looking trucks and cars today. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna shoot everything like I always do. And my goal is to show you all the cool cars here today, give you a little bit of commentary on, maybe a chance to meet some folks. I just talked to a gentleman with a 93 red Fox body. That was his dream car. So it was cool to talk to him. We'll go take a look at that car in a bit. So we'll go around and hit everybody as best we can, and then we'll come back and maybe give you our top 3 or 4 favorite at the end of the day and share some of this awesome experience with you at Larz American Car Day here on July 23rd. All right, guys, we're gonna start over in this corner. We could have started anyway. There's 2 really nice cars here. This 65 Mustang Restomod. It's got a ton of information on it. Started restoring it in August of 2008, went all the way through 2017. I love everything about the car. I like the wheels, they're very period correct. The motor under here looks amazing. Beautiful 65, kind of that ermine white that you had, which was very common like on the Shelbys. Great looking body style, side exhaust, really good looking, basically, you know, kind of a stock interior with the Shelby wheel. You've got a 5-speed, so that would have never been on the car back in the day, but this is really good looking. I think I hit this Corvette next to us, so a really good looking early, actually I'm gonna say like probably a 58 or 59 on this Corvette.
What's that?
Oh, 60, you got me, I was trying, gotcha. So yes, so beautiful car. I love these Corvettes with the coves, always my favorite on these styles. So white with the silver, again, very original and correct. So we got a manual transmission, we got the 3-speed. These were always great looking cars, 283. This was before they really changed the rear end over. So in 61, the rear end would change a little bit more than this, and we get to be more of the rear end you'd find in like the 63 forward. But this was a great style, and I do love this year because you could still get the cove. You could in 61 as well, you get the different body color cove. 62, they all went to one solid body color, but I love the color combination on this car. Really good looking. Any white car I always dig, and this one looks great in this color. I love the Lincoln LSCs. This one looks awesome. You put the 5.0 badges on it. This, like I said, this was like the gentleman's 5-liter Mustang. This thing is so cool. Again, something a little unique and different. I dig these just because of, again, what it is, right? All right, guys, so back on to this Ford 1937. Great color combination in the white and the green, orange. Really smooth, everything's smooth under the hood. Really nice looking hot rod build. I like the creamsicle license plate, so really sharp. Also really dig this whole hot rod right here, and this kind of like pinkish purple with the right wheels, the maroon style wheels. Thing looks beautiful. We've got a more of an original 30s car here right there, so it's always cool to see the difference between like the hot rods and then the originality of some of these older cars. And you know, the idea of what they had back in the hobby with the customization is so cool. And then obviously we have this 1931 Model A, very stock with the wire wheels. A really nice looking car here too. And again, I do appreciate this. You've got the original trunk here in the back, which is very cool. And again, you see the difference between these different hot rods and then the more original style. The lines on these were so nice. They just really suited the hot rod style, but it's cool to see one that was kind of left as the original from what they were back in the day. All right, so we have this really nice black 64 Galaxy 500, kind of the period correct, like 80s wheels, BF Goodrich tires. Good looking car with the vinyl roof. Got a more, I should say newer, but like an 80s El Camino. We've got this Lark, which is kind of neat too. These were always kind of cool. You don't see a ton of these out there. So, you know, the 64 Larks were a nice looking car. Dart, swinger, usually a 340 on these. Yep, 340 4-barrel vinyl roof. 69 again, 68 they had that what they call the white hat program. This still might be that with the white vinyl roof. Very cool looking. Super underappreciated. These are really Firebirds. Don't get the same love as the Camaros, and I don't lie. This is pretty neat too because this is a straight 6. So this is really cool. Straight 6, red Firebird convertible. Again, something you're not going to see all that often, so very cool. Versus the standard GTS. And again, pretty cool to see these two back to back. A lot of on the ACR, you'll see there's a lot more aero. You have the canards on the bottom, the active diffuser. You'll see on the back there's some actual functional scoops on the back that are closed off on the Viper. These are both amazing machines, tons of power, great wheels, timeless, I think, as far as style goes. But when you get into the ACR, I mean, the biggest difference obviously is going to be that giant wing you have in the ACR. But you can see in here too, you have these different vents. And in this, it's closed, and this is actually open to allow cooling for the brake system. So in the ACR, you're going to get, again, the wing is the biggest difference. This big, beautiful carbon fiber wing. But again, both stunning cars. You get a little bit more, and you can see right here from this shot right here, you can see the canard over here on the left that you don't see on the right here, again, designed to give you more downforce. These cars had a ton of downforce. This would have been the second to last generation ACR. Next level ACR even went more crazy with even, you know, more active aero and more stuff you can do. But these cars were absolutely phenomenal. What you'd find, which is interesting, the GTS actually would be faster than the ACR because the ACR had so much downforce that you would actually lose some top end on these cars versus the GTS, but you'd have significantly better handling. So both stunning cars, great in those colors. Talk about this 1966 Olds Toronado. First front wheel drive car. These were kind of the precursor to what they did with the Cadillacs of the next year, which are the Eldorados, which I love that Cadillac. This is such a good looking style. And this was super revolutionary at the time, right? Still had the big motor, but it was front wheel drive, so there was a ton of room in the car. I love the hubcaps. I love the style on this car. This was just way ahead of its time. And again, it was really, you know, again, we did win car of the year, but I think as time went on, people weren't as sold on front wheel drive, but GM was showing what you could do with these. And like I said, it became the platform for the Eldorado for the next few years. And it's just a really great looking body style. I love the wheels. I love the white line tires. Everything looks great on this car, and you have plenty of power. So it's kind of that unique setup. And what GM was selling people on was you didn't have that big transmission tunnel. So if you had a family, you had all this room in the car where you could put like 6 people in the car if you wanted to, and you had all that room in there and it would take care of it, so it was a really nice car. All right, guys, so next we're gonna go to this beautiful 442. I think it's a dark green, but in this sunlight it's like almost black, but it is like a dark emerald green. Great color. You know, Oldsmobile always had nice interiors, so like the white interior, 4-speed, the 4-spoke steering wheel. I always like the Oldsmobile wheels, 455 on these. So you get the big rocket motor, so just a good looking car. And again, great color that's really tough to see in the sun, but it's really good looking. But if you can see right here, hopefully you can get a better gauge. It's more of a dark green. Everywhere else it looks black, so it's a great color because again, it really does trick you and you can't tell, but this is a W30 package, so the better handling, the big motor, beautiful car. Four-wheel drive vehicles we have a 4-wheel drive 2015 Wrangler. You know, I have a 2022 Gladiator, Rubicon. They're great trucks. I've talked a ton about them. I really do like this Bronco. This is a really good looking Bronco with the top that comes off. So this is an earlier Bronco, 72, I'm guessing, yep, 302 V8. It's got a little lift kit on it, KC lights like I've got on my truck, love it. Wheels look great. This is such a cool truck, and these have become so desirable over the last few years. The new Broncos coming out, these have become even more desirable. You know, these are something you could have got a few years ago for very reasonable. These are like $40,000, $50,000 now, and this one might be even more with how nice it is, but it's a great color combination. It's just a fun truck. Everything the old two-door Wranglers were, this was kind of that first iteration. You could go out and enjoy it off-road, take the top off, but with a 302 V8, you had plenty of power, so you could actually go out and enjoy it on the street too. It didn't feel underpowered or overwhelmed on the road. So Ford did a really great job with these. They kind of grew in the late 70s and 80s to those big Broncos that became famous on the OJ chase, but this was kind of that first iteration, and it's a great, beautiful early example of it. All right, guys, so this is actually one of the dealers brought this up. This is a local dealer over in Canton. You don't see a lot of these Jeep Renegades. You can look at it. Go ahead, I'm good. I shoot around people all the time. You're good, no worries. But it's such a cool truck. Like, this was very unique. These trucks were not loved for a long time. People don't like the square headlight Jeeps, but this most likely was the 4-liter. The 4-liter motor was one of the best motors Jeep ever made. This has a little bit of a different wheel setup on it. I love the Renegade. It had kind of that funky body style. This has the right, so everything's painted to the body. Everything looks really nice. The blue with the silver pinstripe is an awesome color combination. You had the, you know, like the integrated steps into the body, and this was kind of that last run for this style of Jeep, which a lot of the Jeep aficionados like the interior on these because this was really the last of the utilitarian Jeep interiors before they got a little bit more, I don't want to say luxurious, but they did get a little bit more future state in the next level of Jeep. So this was really cool, and again, we had that really different body style. The square headlights, which again, the Jeep guys don't love, but the Renegade was probably the one exception because the body kit was so cool. The only downside to this is it really wasn't designed as an off-road vehicle. Like, you didn't want to take this off-road with this body kit. It wasn't really have all that much flexibility. You didn't want to start damaging these side panels, but aesthetically it's awesome, and I do love the doors. Everything just looks right on it, and that step in there just fits perfectly with this car. All right, we're gonna shoot this 77 F-150. Beautiful truck. I parked next to it when I came in. So 400 C6 transmission, 31-inch tires, slight little lift kit, really great looking truck. So again, this was kind of that, first of all, I love this body style. I think that front end that Ford has with that little bit of a slight slant. So if you see on the hood, if the hood was closed, you can see there's a little bit of a slant to the front. Just looks great on this truck. The wheels look great. The black paint just really does accent what this truck brings to the table. The lines look awesome on it. And you can see the lines are pretty straight for a pickup from back then. You know, they have done the rhino lining on the bed. But again, if you go through and look at a black car, and you can see that they had really nice shut lines, everything's really straight. This is a really good looking truck. So I'm a fan of these. And again, what was cool with these trucks, it was a work vehicle at the time, right? There's not a ton of creature comforts. You've got the regular, you know, standard size bed, not the long bed. Two-door, single cab, so regular, one person in there, automatic transmission. You've got the, the locking lugs, so you got to get out and actually lock into four-wheel drive if you want to. But this is just a really great-looking truck from that time frame, and I think one of the best-looking Ford trucks they ever made. So guys, just quickly, we'll always just pass on our car. You know the Mustang. We've done a ton of videos on it. We don't need to talk about it. The car has been talked about a million times on the channel. We know all the stuff that's going on. I didn't even wipe any of the road dirt off when I came in. I cleaned it up yesterday, but we'll leave it alone. We'll check out some other stuff over here in just a second. I haven't seen in person before. So we got a 2002 Panzos. This was a cool car. These were a custom car. Panzos was an independent company. They were building these little roadsters. Really, think about the trend back in this time frame. You would have had the Miatas and some of the really cool two-seat sports cars that were coming out at the time. What Panzos did is trying to do what Shelby did back in the 60s. And basically what he did is he took a really cool small body roadster, put a Ford V8 into it, so it's basically a 4.6 out of the Ford Mustang, a little more horsepower, 305 horse, so similar to what you'd find in like the Mach 1 at the time. So this would be a really cool platform to go in and build a little small roadster like Shelby did. These had a moderate amount of success. They weren't crazy over successful, but they were successful enough. And you see a few of these, again, I've seen them in magazines, they were in some of the video games back in the day, but I haven't seen them in person. Great body lines. I wish this car had done better because I think it's a really cool setup. Center exhaust. You can look at the taillights, kind of look like a part spin piece for the taillights, but I love the wheels on it. The interior is really nice. And again, running that Ford drivetrain, so having a Ford, manual transmission and a 4.6 made this really easy to go in and repair. So just like what Shelby had done, he had made a car that was cool, unique, looked exotic, but you could go to your local Ford dealer and get it worked on. So this is a very cool car, and again, something I haven't seen in person, so happy to share this one with you. All right, guys, this is my favorite car. I love this body style, the 68 and 69 Chevelles. This one is stunning. Beautiful under the hood. Everything is clean. The chrome is beautiful. Unbelievable paint. This is just an absolutely gorgeous car. I'm not usually a fan of the big wheels on the car, but they look right on this car. They've done the right stance and the right setup, so it doesn't look goofy. They actually sit a little bit flush under the fenders, so it looks right in the car. Really good looking transmission setup, nice looking wheels. So this is just a great looking. The interior looks relatively stock, but the outside is a gorgeous, gorgeous car. Like I said, the wheels look great. The paint's great. Lines are great. You can see there's some air extraction built into the hood, so this is a really nice hood too. So it's a really good looking car. Love the color. My favorite body style. All right, guys, so let's talk about some of the coolest trucks out here. So we've got a couple of T-Rexes out here. You guys know this truck, 700 horsepower, Dodge's answer to the Raptor, but it was way more advanced. Take a look at the Bilstein shocks, adjustable, huge setup, beadlock tires from the factory. This thing is like the ultimate on-road and off-road truck. There are two of them here. They're both absolutely gorgeous in the white. This one has some aftermarket wheels that look even crazier on this truck. I really do like both of them. I think they're, like I said, they're stunning. One of my favorite trucks. But then you see like this, late 70s F-250 long bed in orange, regular cab, big wheels. Again, what they would do back in the day, you see the difference on the tires factory. These new tires are crazy. Back then, they give you more of a much thinner profile. So if you're off-roading in these trucks, the goal was to put the weight into a smaller patch. So you maybe able to get a little bit better traction. This one's awesome with the long bed as well. So a great looking long bed. Gentleman's a Ranger, so thank you. From one airborne guy to another, much appreciated for your service. But this one is great. Again, love the simplicity in these trucks. You have the single step, single cab, really utilitarian. Although it is a Ranger package, so you get a little bit of the wood trim inside, so it's a little bit more upmarket. But upmarket made just a couple of more creature comforts. Headliner, a little bit of wood in the truck, so just a little nicer. But this is great looking truck here. Again, locking hubs, great looking front end. Chrome is awesome on this truck. So again, great looking body style. Like I talked about with that 79 black, this is a 76. Great looking truck, and this would be the more heavy duty. You see it's an XLT Ranger. So this was kind of the top of the line model in 76 for Ford. You can see how utilitarian it is versus these ridiculous TRX Rams, which are like every creature comfort you can imagine. Like if you're looking for anything in a truck, and again, I love the two things. One's a veteran tag, so thank you, sir. I love the low mile per gallon tag on here and his license plate. That is awesome. But if you take a look again, these interiors are like the ultimate luxury car. So we have a 2017 Cadillac XTS. The interiors on these new trucks are just as luxurious as anything you're gonna find in any modern luxury car. They're gorgeous. Giant screens, huge comfy seats, big center console, so awesome trucks. So I just wanted to show you that dichotomy between, you know, these older trucks and the newer trucks. And again, they're both amazing vehicles. One of my favorite cars. I don't know if I know this particular Grand National. I know a lot in the area. This is a gorgeous Grand National. Again, I've shared this a million times. I'm not gonna go deep into these. You know all the differences. We did a breakdown in our Endicott video 2 years ago between a T-Type and a Grand National. Just again, I'll hit the wheels, the seats, love everything about it. This was like the fastest car in '87 that you could buy in the US. So very cool. Again, 250 horsepower roughly, V6, tons of torque though. This thing was just a great car at the time. Again, it would rival the Corvette as fast in the quarter mile as the Corvette, as fast as, you know, anything that was out there made in the US at the time. So very cool car. Again, guys, always cool to see something different. So I've only ever seen a Kaiser one time before, and it was at the Newport Auto Museum in Rhode Island. I've seen one of these before in person. This car was amazing. Super cool lines. Everything's cool on this car. The lines are amazing, beautiful body. But what made this unique was that door, right? So that unique setup with the door. So the door would slide over, everything would fit in. This is, you know, again, rivaling to what you'd find on the Corvettes at the time. But I think the body style is so cool and so unique. This is like a triple yellow car too, which is very cool. Yellow top, yellow interior, yellow body. Everything about this is absolutely stunning. And like I said, I've only ever seen one of these before, and that was at the Newport Auto Museum in Providence. So only my second one in person. So seeing that Panzos for the first time, my first time seeing one of these actually out in person. Phenomenal cars, awesome. All right, guys, so gorgeous 55 Chevy right here. We want to shoot this one. I love this color combination, the fender skirts, the blue with like the cream even versus the more bright white looks great in this color. This is a gorgeous car. Interior is super nice, really a factory original. You've heard me talk a lot about loving these interiors, and again, this is why. Look how nice this interior is, and everything about this car is so sharp. So really like this car, really nice looking car. Now right next to us, we have a Galaxy 500, and you see these taillights are pretty cool. This was Ford's kind of answer to the Jet era, which was really, really neat. So they were doing this kind of Jet-inspired taillight that gave you kind of like an afterburner style look. Again, we talk about this blue color all the time. Again, you see the kind of the cream top, great looking car with the wheel covers. This is probably, if it's like probably a 352, I'm guessing, in this car for the year?
390.
390, all right, perfect, thank you. Perfect, so 4-speed, 390. Great looking car. So this will be the most high performance version of this car from this year. Again, love the color combination. You see everything like Jet inspired, the side mirrors, the tail lights, just kind of, this was that Jet age, and Ford was right in there with everybody else making a beautiful car back. All right, guys, again, you want to see a really cool car right here. 71 Challenger RT convertible, 440 six-pack, red, air induction, not air induction hood, but you've got, like, you know, the hood scoops on here that are functional. You've got the great wheels, white interior. This is a great color combination. It is an automatic, so this is probably with that Tour Flight 727 automatic transmission. Great looking car. And again, this was like the pinnacle of what you could get in 71 for the Challenger. These cars are super desirable. You know, you had the one-off 426s, but the 440, in every instance, most people talk about being a much better streetable motor. Really similar performance-wise, but you didn't deal with the finickiness of the Hemi. The Hemi was a slightly better performer, but this in that 440 six-pack was awesome. I will tell you though, if you've ever tried to go in and adjust a six-pack, it can be a little bit challenging. Not as bad as dual quads, but that six-pack can be a little challenging. Once you open up all three carbs, it's amazing though. You have that ton of power, that torque that just hits in instantly. And what a great color combination. Again, white with the red, convertible, 440, six-pack, beautiful 71 Challenger. All right, guys, 49 Cadillac. You know I love the old Cadillacs. This one is a gorgeous car. Love the colors on it. Blue with a white top. Again, something we've seen a lot of blue and white tops today. I love the red hubcaps, the wide white wall tires. You have, again, so cool. Check out like your windshield wiper cleaner, you have a glass bottle. You've got the Cadillac motor. This thing is gorgeous. And again, you take a look at the interiors in here. And I always talk again about the interiors. This is where Cadillac absolutely shine. And you look in here, stunning interior. Everything, you know, body match color-wise, everything's beautiful. So just a great looking 49 Cadillac. And again, I love the wheels on it. They just look so great here. All right, so now I'm going to be a little bit geeky here and kind of the horror movie scene. I see one of these Delta 88s, and you know, this reminds me of the Evil Dead. I mean, that was a four-door car, but I always get that vibe. These 70s Oldsmobiles were cool. And again, this green color was ubiquitous. This color was everywhere. You saw this green anywhere you would look back in the day at one of these Oldsmobiles, and it's such a cool, again, throwback to that 70s Oldsmobile car. All right, guys, so we're gonna hit on the ACR versus the standard GTS. And again, pretty cool to see these two back to back. A lot of on the ACR, you'll see there's a lot more aero. You have the canards at the bottom, the active diffuser. You'll see on the back, there's some actual functional scoops on the back that are closed off on the Viper. These are both amazing machines, tons of power, great wheels, timeless, I think, as far as style goes. But when you get into the ACR, I mean, the biggest difference obviously gonna be that giant wing you have in the ACR, but you can see in here too, you have these different vents, and in this it's closed, and this is actually open to allow cooling for the brake system. So in the ACR, you're gonna get, again, the wing is the biggest difference, this big, beautiful carbon fiber wing. But again, both stunning cars. You get a little bit more, and you can see right here from this shot right here, you can see the canard over here on the left that you don't see on the right here, again, designed to give you more downforce. These cars had a ton of downforce. This would have been the second to last generation ACR. Next level ACR even went more crazy with even, you know, more active aero and more stuff you can do. But these cars were absolutely phenomenal. What you'd find, which is interesting, the GTS actually would be faster than the ACR because the ACR had so much downforce that you would actually lose some top end on these cars versus the GTS, but you'd have significantly better handling. So both stunning cars, great in those colors. All right, guys, let's shoot this customized 80s Chevy Blazer. And this is so neat because, again, this car, the wheels are like straight out of the late 80s, which are awesome. I love the little flame paint on the car. That Lexan or clear hood is awesome, and you can see you've got a tune port injection motor, most likely out of a Corvette or Trans Am or Camaro from that era. You've got a Paxton supercharger. This thing looks so cool, and again, talk about having to always be show ready. They smoothed everything. It looks awesome. The car looks great. And again, I love these period style wheels. When I was a kid, these wheels were like everywhere, and everybody wanted this setup of wheels. So this is pretty neat. The interior is not too different. You have a billet steering wheel, again, something similar you see in the 80s or 90s. Looks like we have a little screen, but this thing's pretty cool with a boost adjust gauge. So this is a pretty neat truck. And you know, again, I love something that's custom like this. Really nice setup in the back for some audio, single subwoofer, nice amplifier. Everything's set up. Love the Chevy cutout on the emblem. So they did a really nice job with this kind of custom truck, and it looks great. All right, I'm gonna tell a quick story on these cars. When these cars were coming out, I wanted one so badly. I love a convertible, and the idea of being able to get a Hemi Dodge convertible wagon factory was so appealing to me. I actually put a deposit on one of these. For whatever reason, I pulled out last minute, but I always like these. These have kind of become hard to find. They've kind of gotten used up. So finding these, the SRTs were really hard to find. This is an RT Hemi, so 5.7. This would have been like 345 horsepower at the time. But this was such a cool car, and again, great concept. This is what brought Dodge in to bring out the 300 series cars. The Charger, the Challenger, all started from this Magnum having a pretty decent amount of success. These were all over the road back in the day in the early, or, you know, mid 2000s. You see a ton of these and a ton of like the PT Cruisers, which now have both have kind of died off a little bit, but these were awesome cars, and you'd see a ton of them back in the day. So always cool to see this car. Now, I like this Caprice. This was the big body back then. So this is a 327. Most likely, if it's an automatic, it's probably a 2 or 3 speed. I don't see it on here. 3-speed, perfect, thank you very much. So, you know, what was cool on these cars, again, with these big Caprices, you can still get a straight 6. You can get the big block in them, but this is the 327. So this would be that middle level motor in this car. And again, it was plenty of power for this car. This wasn't designed to be the sports car at the time, right? It wasn't the Impala. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't a Malibu. It was a big family car. It was comfortable. It drove great. But what I love about Chevy at this time, as you look at these, the body lines, you can see where they were in the family. The body lines look great on this. It looks like what you'd find in an Impala. Just if you took an Impala and blew it up to like 1.5 size, it looks great. The color's great. I love, even like you have the Impalas, you have that little separate piece in the middle behind there, which sometimes had a speaker in there, depending on the package in the car, that would sit between the 2 rear seats. Great blue interior. You know, everything was just really nice on these. The only thing that drove me crazy with Chevrolet in the 60s is they went to this bar speedometer that they had for like 30 years. Like every car Chevy did, once they came to this bar speedometer, had that bar speedometer. I had it in like 4 or 5 different Chevys. And that was the only thing I wish that Chevy had stayed more with a separate, different, you know, more kind of a cooler speedometer, but they went to that style for everything. And that's not a knock on this car. That's a knock on Chevy that did it for all of their cars for like 30 years and kind of gave us that kind of, you know, that bar speedometer that was everywhere at the time. But this car is great. I love the rally wheels. Looks great on the car. Everything just looks right. And again, this is that right 70s blue color. So you've got the blue on blue. Looks amazing. Great looking car. I've shot this car before, but I'll always shoot it because, again, you know, I love a low miles 80s car. 86 Monty SS, 36,000 original miles. And I should have known it was 86 because the license plate says 86, but I'm being a dummy, think it's an 88. But I love this car for a couple of reasons, and I've talked about it. The gray interior, which is pretty unique. T-tops, which you have to get a T-top if you get a Monty SS. It's a completely different experience. I love the wheels. So you didn't have the steel, you should have like an 85. 305, 355 rear end, great looking car. This one is always nice too because again, the nose isn't beat up, the graphics are great, so great looking car here. Next to us, we get one of these monster Shelby GT350s, great looking color in the blue. We got another black Viper over here. So we're getting a little crowd over here. I'm not gonna go too deep. There was a couple more cars I wanted to hit on over here though. And again, always something unique. So there was a wagon here. So to see some of these more utilitarian cars right here. So we have this wagon. We got the Ford wagon right here with the V8. We've got this Chevy right here with the 400 four-door. So this is the big family sedan back in the day. We've got an RT right here, which is nice. But then I saw this Mustang when it came in. So it looks like it's probably 80, so it is a 90, excuse me. So 90 GT convertible in red, black interior. Looks to be relatively stock, leather interior. So if you see in here, we talked about this, has the three main differences between my 88, and we talk about it all the time. Airbag steering wheel, 140 mile an hour speedometer, Mustang emblem on the dash. You wouldn't get that until 89 or 90. 89, you get the emblem and the updated Speedo. 90, you would get the airbag. So this is has all those different things we talked about, like mine. Turbine wheels, looks pretty good, so relatively original, pretty clean under the hood. So, you know, this is a nice driver Fox body and something we wanted to share. I have shot this car a couple of times. I'm not going to go deep into it. This was like Best of Show over in Sharon last year. This car is stunning. Blue on blue. This was like one of my favorite cars I've ever shot. It is just absolutely beautiful. Love everything about this car. Everything is right about it. It's a beautiful, beautiful car. Guys, great looking 454 Camaro right here in orange. Sounds good. Love the Chevelle right behind us. SS396. Again, my favorite body style, guys. You know that. Love the car. Looks awesome. Sounds great. Let's get a nice little cam in it. So great car right there as well. Beautiful in those two cars. All right, guys, so I was talking to the guy, the owner of this, 93, last year, the Fox body. It is a 5.0 without any 5.0 badges. He basically said what they were trying to do was essentially create the summer special on this car. Now, the summer special we've talked about a couple of times would have been a red convertible, but the summer special would have had white pony wheels, a white interior, and a white top. So this would have been a 93 LX 5.0. This is a manual car. So again, just like we talked about, 140 mile an hour speedometer, airbag steering wheel, pony emblem on the dash. So it's a pretty cool car. And again, I love to shoot all the Fox bodies when I see them. So we'll hit on as many as we can when we get up here. So we're gonna hit on this Ranchero. Like I said, I like the El Caminos better once we get to like 64, 65, but the earlier cars, I actually prefer the Ranchero to the El Camino. I think it's a cooler looking car, you know, obviously based on that Falcon platform. This is a 61, so it's a straight six, 200 cubic inch. Again, very utilitarian car for the time, but it's a cool car, right? This was something someone would have bought. They would have used it around their shop, around a small farm, you know, just to go run around town. So it was great. And again, I think this style back then looked better than what you would find in the El Caminos until you got into like the mid 60s. Then when the El Caminos looked more like the Chevelles, I like those a little bit more. Now I want to hit on this car behind us right here. So this Starfire, because I love the paint on it. This kind of this rose paint. You saw these a lot with, you know, a lot of the GMs from this era. Pontiac had a few of these, and these colors are pretty unique. And this one's cool because it's a color matched interior. And again, you see what we were talking about with GM, that same bar speedometer we had in that beautiful Caprice that we saw is prevalent in this car too, but a great color in this car. And again, something a little different, right? So you've got a 394, in this car in a great color, and again, something unique. When's the last time you saw one of these at a show? So again, you're going to see a million Chevelles and 57s, and not that we're knocking these, but this is something cool and different and a great unique color. SS Corvette motor, aftermarket wheels, T-top, red interior. It's got a roll cage in it. Looks like it's a manual, which wasn't available from the Monty SS out of the factory. So you can see like the silver with like kind of those ghost flames on it. You know, very cool looking car. These were, you know, these G-bodies are pretty much all over the place, but it's cool to see one that's a little different. Again, the upgraded motor. The biggest downside to this, I owned one, is they were just slow. Like they had a 305, 180 horsepower. The only thing that saved them was the 355 rear end. So to see someone put a bigger motor into it with a manual kind of opens this car up, and I imagine it's a whole heck of a lot of fun to drive. Now, Behind us, we have this stunning Corvette convertible, side exhaust, knockoff wheels, 427, absolutely gorgeous car with a manual transmission, great color. Again, one of those colors it's really tough to see. It's that green. If you can see it in the paint, it just really pops. So this is a beautiful car. The gold line wheels, everything about this is stunning. And these cars were, again, that ultimate performance version. So I guess it's a 66 or a 67. Yeah, so 66 and 67, you could get the 427. So this was the biggest motor option you had, again, with the side exhaust, with the knockoff wheels, with the manual transmission, in the convertible. This is like the pinnacle of what you could get in Corvette in the late 60s, and it's just absolutely stunning in that color combination. All right, we have a good looking 66 Nova with an LS1 black, a little bit of aftermarket wheels, a little bit of chrome on the car. Again, I always thought these Novas kind of being a sleeper, and I know they're not, because again, you see this car and you hear it, you know it's fast, but it just looks so subdued, and it's a great looking car. We have this gorgeous Cadillac right next to us. So we got a 57 Coupe de Ville in white. I love the Cadillacs, the big Dagmars on the front, wide white wall tires, great looking whale covers. Again, I love talking about the interiors in these Caddies. It's my favorite thing. So when you look at the style in the interior in these, you just didn't have this in anything else. Just an absolutely stunning car. This was, you know, again, the pinnacle. If you had made it in America in 1957, this is what you owned. And it was funny, when you look at what Buick was doing at the time, Buick had a really cool car, 3 portholes. A lot of like lawyers and doctors didn't want to buy a Cadillac, because what happened is a lot of their patients would think they were overcharging them. So there was this kind of this stigma if you owned a Cadillac. This was like bankers and really successful businessmen. And if you were one step down, if you didn't want to like, you know, have your customers again thinking you were taking advantage of them, you would buy a Buick, which was kind of that next iteration. So it still showed you made it, they were still beautiful, but this was kind of the pinnacle of what you could get in the 50s, and it's absolutely beautiful. Z01 Camaro when I see them, because we see so many GT500s, you're good, no worries. We see tons of GT500s, we see tons of Hellcats. For whatever reason, the Z01 just hasn't had that same level of success sales-wise as you had in these, but this was like a really cool car. You can see the active aero on the car, the big motor, over 650 horsepower, and it's just something different, right? Carbon fiber on the hood, great looking car, great big brakes. Everything about this car was very cool. For whatever reason, it just never took off to that same level as you would have on the, as you'd see with the, you know, the Hellcats and the GT500s, but it's still a beautiful car, and again, something we want to share when we can. 6 Nova SS in silver, great looking car. Again, the Rally Sport wheels, manual transmission, nice simple interior, good looking under the hood. So great looking car here. See a Ford Lightning here, so I haven't seen one of these, and I've seen them in person, but I haven't seen them open up like this. So this is obviously Ford's answer to the electric truck. Tons of horsepower, really cool style. You know, the only thing that kills me with the Lightnings is obviously the Lightning was always Ford's high performance truck, and there's actually another one right over here. So that was obviously a big V8. That one I believe was supercharged. The first gen was a 5.4 liter naturally aspirated, but now you get into the next generation. This is where Ford is kind of done with their electric truck, kind of the same they did with the Mach-E. So they're taking some of their pinnacle names or performance icons from the past and turning into some of their next level electric vehicles, which are very cool. But again, you see that, and then you see the Lightning over here, and they're 2 wildly different trucks. This is much more utilitarian. Again, very much luxurious. See the size of the screen, super comfortable, everything you need in here. But again, that was a high-performance V8 with a performance suspension designed to be a little bit more of a sports car. Now, I would tell you in a drag race, I believe this Lightning would absolutely destroy that Lightning, unless it's modified. But still, you don't get the same level of experience. So guys, any American car show you're going to go to, you're going to see a ton of modern Corvettes, and there's no change here. These are both really nice. We've got a 60s Thunderbird here. We've got a newer Mustang here. I believe that is a Bullet? That's a Coyote. Is that a Bullet? So that's a good question. It looks like the body. That is a Bullet. So this is a 2019 Bullet in that Highland green with the Brembo brakes. You actually saw it. We actually talked a lot about the Bullet at the Bash show not too long ago. We were talking to the gentleman with the Bullet, so I kind of walked through all those, but great color. Again, we've got a good looking Lightning next to us. So a 2nd gen Lightning, like the black wheels. This is pretty cool. And again, you see these here, and this was that supercharged V8. So you had a really cool truck back here. So good looking truck here. 40th anniversary SN95. I had one of these in the convertible, love the cars. So, and now this is almost 20 years old, which is crazy, right? So this is the 40th anniversary. We're gonna have the 60th anniversary coming out next year. This is a good looking car, FR500 wheels in black. I had the FR500s in chrome on mine. Let's see, it has the 10.5 in the back like I did. It looks great. So good looking SN95 Mustang. We've got a Celine right here. So this would have been late 90s. Love the wing. Got the Celine S281 kit. I don't know if this is, I'm trying to see if there's a Celine number on it, Celine seats. Looks like it is So I don't see the number, so I'm not sure if this is a legitimate Celine, but it is a good-looking car, and it looks great in the black. So good-looking car here. Mid-60s Pontiac Tempest, I believe a 66 with the 326 in the blue, red line wheels. Good-looking car again, or 65, excuse me. We've got the nice interior. Everything looks great in the car. It is a manual, so this is a great-looking car. And again, that right Pontiac blue color, this blue was like everywhere in the 60s, so you see a ton of these cars, especially in the GMs that were this color. The 326 is a criminally underrated motor. It was a great performer, very similar to what you have in the 327 and the Chevys, but people always want the 389s or the 400s and the Pontiacs. That 326 was a great utilitarian motor, plenty of power for this car, looks great, and again, a lot of these got turned into GTO, so I'm always excited to see someone that's kept the Tempest, because it's a great looking car, and this one looks great in this color with these Corvette. Some of my favorite wheels in the C4s, they call like the salad shooter wheels you had from this year. These were like 2-year only wheels before you got into the saw blades as they got a little newer. And I always forget, because I owned one of these, the nose is so big on these, but when you see it parked next to anything else, it's actually a small car. It doesn't weigh a ton, it's like 3,200 pounds, but when you see it on its own, the nose looks huge, everything looks really big, and then you actually put it next to any other car that's out there, and you see the size difference in the Tempest. Look, I don't expect to be anything close to the size in the Cadillac, but the nose is huge on this, and it actually looks really big when you see it by itself, but you park it next to anything else, it's a very small car. I'm guessing this is like an 90. So like I said, the 2-year only on the wheels. This was the first year we had gone to the new interior, so we had gotten rid of that video game style interior that they had from when they first launched in 84 to 89. So you had the new interior that would carry over until 96. This was the second to last year of the L98 motor before you got into the LT1, and this was going to be that 6-speed manual. So this is a really nice looking car. And again, everything about it's correct. Tune port injection, similar to what you'd find in the Trans Ams and the Camaros at the time, just a little more horsepower. These were a little better tuned. So this is a really good looking C4 Corvette in that, like I said, pretty rare iteration with the newer dash, that silent shooter wheels. They still had the round tail lights, so you hadn't gone to the square tail lights. This is kind of the middle of the C4 where they started to make some changes, but they hadn't changed everything. I went ahead on this wagon over here. So we've got a whole bunch of Mustangs here from different generations. So we've got the more modern generation, the 05 to 12 or 11 generation. We've got like a 66 or a 67. We've got another like 65 or 66 with a more modern 5.0 motor and more modern wheels. And then we've got a Shelby right here at the end. So you can kind of see all the iterations of all the different Mustangs as we go in. So from a GT500 to a 66 or 65 convertible with a 5-liter motor to, that first gen of the 195 cars, the next gen 195 cars, then that beautiful like 67 over there. So great looking cars, very cool. And then I want to shoot this wagon really quick. I think I've actually shot this before, but I like this 57 Bel Air wagon in silver with the white top. Great looking car, I love the wheels on it. It's got vented brakes. But this was and a 2-door wagon too, which is very cool. So 2-door wagon, looks like a manual transmission, great looking interior, great color combination with the silver and the white top, really sharp car here. 3 2-barrels under the hood. So this is a really cool 57, kind of a little bit of everything on this car, right? Manual transmission, 3 2-barrels, 2-door wagon, vented brakes, looks like vented Wildwood brakes. So this is kind of like a really cool Restomod, something you could absolutely go out and drive and enjoy on like one of these tours, or just take to a local car show, have some fun, go get ice cream. Awesome car, I really dig it. I love the wagons. All right, guys, I didn't shoot this one from Dundee Motors. This car was a SEMA show winner in Vegas for a 2016 Wrangler. This thing has like everything on it, every light you can imagine, an amazing front suspension, huge wheels, giant lift, 2-door Wrangler, which is highly desirable. These like stainless steel fenders that have been welded on, great roof rack, hard top. This thing is pretty cool. This thing is pretty neat. So this thing is pretty cool. This is a really great looking Jeep. And again, this is something that's kind of crazy. Like, this was something you could go to any Jeep show and you're going to do well. Great conversation. So again, you see the SEMA, and the SEMA shows are usually where people are trying like all their coolest, newest gadgets and testing out everything. And again, you see the giant wheels, the stainless fender flares, all the lights in the front. So cool looking Jeep here too. If you look at, I said Dundee Motors over in Canton. So if you're looking for something cool, check them out. They always have cool stuff over there, stuff that's unique and different. I've seen sports cars over the years. They've had Trans Ams and really cool Mustangs and Cobras, and it looks like they always have some cool Jeeps there as well. All right, guys, I saw this Trans Am come in. So this is like the first gen, or the first iteration of this generation of, so the Gen 3s. So this is, I want to say it's an 83? 84, okay, so we have an 84
would have most likely factory been a 305 in this car. Obviously, it looks like an aftermarket motor. I like the style on it. It's got the Hearst wheels on it, which look great on the car. It's got the side ground effects. Again, you're not going to hear me well with this, but really kind of a cool car in this generation. You don't see a lot of them, and I want to get over and just hit it real quick if I could. So very cool car. Absolutely dig it. Liking the car here.
All right, guys. So we're gonna have my car as a background. Why not, right? I've earned it. We never shoot my car. So a great show up here at Larz Anderson there, American Car Day. Just been a great turnout. They've had over 100 cars. There's a lot of really cool stuff. Some stuff that's really unique that we've never seen before. Like I haven't seen those Panzos Roadsters in person. I've only seen the Kaiser once before. Some unique stuff up here. So very cool to see. I mean, again, great selection of cars. We've had some cool Jeeps, some great trucks, lots of classic cars. We've had some amazing older trucks. This great selection of Chevelles. Tons of Mustangs up here today, a lot of Corvettes, great turnout from the Vipers today. So it's just kind of cool to see all the different cars you have up here. When you think about American Car Day, it's a little bit of everything, right? You know, like I said, I'm in the Jeep community, I'm also in the Mustangs, you know, I've owned a Corvette. Like all these different car communities are so passionate on what they do, so I can get out and share some of the cool stuff we have out there. I'm always happy to do it. So that's it, guys. If you haven't done so far, please hit that like and subscribe button. We're getting real close to that 500 subscribers, so let's get there, get over the top, and let's get me to 1,000 this year so I can get paid to do some of this stuff that I love to do and continue to give you great content at all these amazing shows. Thanks so much, everybody.